Hi, this is Megan Chapman. I'm coming at you from Studio G23 at the Drill Hall in Leith. Thanks to everybody who listened to my last podcast. I'm preparing this one for you now, and hopefully here in the near future there'll be less breaks in between them. I started a new topic called Question Monday over at my Megan Chapman Visual Artist Facebook page. You can find the link on the Spreaker homepage. So folks are asking me questions and I'm answering them in the form of a podcast. We'll be talking about this and some other questions regarding my latest series with my special guest, Stuart Brimner, who happens to be my husband and is a graphic designer and painter himself. Hello, Stuart.
Hi, Megan. So the first question we have here this time is from Barbara Jaquish, and she asks, when did you first start making art and what did you do? Who encouraged you?
Well, the short answer is, because I could go on much longer about this topic, is that I've been making art my whole life, and I started as a small child with the encouragement of my parents. I grew up in a very art-friendly household, and there was always a big roll of paper and art supplies. I was always encouraged throughout elementary school. I had a great art teacher in junior high as well as high school. And then I went on to study it at the University of Arkansas and the University of Oregon, where I got my BFA in painting and drawing.
Now, at what point did you go from, obviously it was a hobby if you like, as a child, it was your passion, it was your life. You've went on to higher education where you've actually qualified as an artist. Did you go straight from being a student to being an artist full-time?
Well, interestingly enough, I had already been exhibiting my work in open call shows, is what you all call them over here. I'd already been having my work in juried exhibitions, community college opens, showing at, the usual suspects, coffee houses, hippie restaurants in Eugene, Oregon, doing things like that while I was also pursuing my higher education. That's why I can say I've been doing this professionally for 20 years, but I wasn't even out of art school 20 years ago.
Okay. So following art school, and you started being a professional artist and exhibiting around the world, I believe.
Yes.
Your latest body of work has been created, it's your first body of work created outside of the United States. And in a change to what you've painted in the last 4 or 5 years, which was very monochromatic, this is a return to the colour that you were using for quite a part of your career. Was there a reason for returning to the colour?
Well, there were probably a couple of reasons. You're right, I had been painting what I called the white series for about 4 years, because I had been previously known for sort of color field work and abstract color paintings, and I just wanted to try something different. Part of it is just working with what I had on hand. Having moved here with just 2 suitcases and no art supplies, you had some canvases of various shapes and sizes that you weren't using, as well as a lot of acrylic paint, and I just went through the paint and chose the colors that spoke to me the most and kind of separated them out. And I wanted to work with a limited palette because that always suits me best, so I chose about 4 or 5 colors and went from there. I always like working within my limitations. It always challenges me and helps me actually in the creative process.
Now, I wonder also, you have come to a new country. Is there any form of a reaction to this new environment in this change to colour again, do you think?
Yes, I think so. Like I've thought about and discussed, when the last 4 years, when I was really wanting to be over here, but I was in Arkansas, which is very warm and hot, I was painting these cool gray, atmospheric, white, hazy, abstract pieces, I think, in my attempt to sort of get back here to Scotland.
That description does sound like Scottish weather.
Yes. And these are very red and hot and yellow and so sure. Yeah, there's a reaction.
Okay. Other than the colours being these dominant shades, you've also got there's a form that's a recurring form in all these paintings, this kind of circular oval type shape. Is there something behind that?
Well, originally it just came out intuitively, kind of how all my paintings come about, sort of organically. This is not a mystery shape to me. As soon as it started appearing again, I could identify it back. It's probably been showing up in my work for about the last 20 years, in various different shapes and colors and forms. These pieces, it's this shape, the spherical pod or compartment or orb, is much bolder and much more in the foreground and takes much more precedence over the entire piece of art.
Also, these pod shapes are also very definite in their boundaries. Is there a reason for them? The pods seem to be separate almost from the background in some ways. There's a definite edge to them. There's a harder, heavier edge around them. Is there a reason for this sort of division?
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm just wondering if it's as a person coming to a completely new country, you've got a hard edge, or you're trying to hold on to who you are, and slowly the new country is permeating into this pod that's you, perhaps.
Well, I mean, I like that story a lot.
I'm just making it up all the time.
No, I like that story a lot, and I think I do believe it to some bits. I'm starting to believe that these pieces are sort of about relationships in general. So you're right, on that one hand, my relationship with this new country, my relationship with new groups of friends and people, my relationship with you as it evolves and changes as we learn to live together, my relationship with myself as I fundamentally change as a human being through my experience of selling all my belongings and moving here.
So they're multi-layered is essentially what we're seeing here. Now, what I think is less multi-layered is this red colour, which really dominates everything. All of us have got opinions about red. There's so many different feelings behind it. Is there a particular, maybe one set of feelings that is behind the red colour you've chosen?
Well, just like the way I used white in my previous body of work, I feel like I'm probably using red in this body of work. Red is a wonderful thing to cover up other things. In my paintings, there's always something behind. You can see ghost-like shapes sort of behind the major thing, and the red is covering it up. So the red is like red velvet curtains in a darkened movie theater. The red holds the mystery. The red helps tell the story. It can be passionate, it can be brooding, it can be dramatic. It definitely is energetic. So I think maybe the red conveys an exciting time and an attraction, but also with sort of some dark undertones. And it's a bit uncomfortable. It's sort of shocking to see just so much red.
Yeah, it is really, the impact is pretty phenomenal, especially after years of painting with quite monochromatic colours. It sucks you in the eye. Actually, I know you like your kind of little punchy metaphors.
Yeah, I always loved a soccer patron in the eye with my work.
Tell that all these people walk out with black eyes. I always wondered what that was about. Okay, I think that's probably all the questions that you want me to ask you today. Thanks for asking me to ask you questions. And I hope.
Thank you for interviewing me. That's what this is all about. You know, I could talk about myself all the time, but I think it's better if somebody else does it. So thanks. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please let me know. If you think Stuart should ask me more questions in the future, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks for joining us. Again, look for me on Facebook, Twitter, and we'll be seeing you all over the internet soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.